Here.
Alderman Salem. Here. Administrator Lippert.
Here.
Mayor Cozy.
Here.
Attorney Boss.
Here.
Alderman Dolber.
Here.
Alderman Sykes.
Here.
Everybody join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item we have is a consent agenda. We have the council report, May 12th, 2023, through June 1st, 2023. The Board of Aldermen public hearing minutes dated May 15th, 2023, and the Board of Aldermen meeting minutes date May 15th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Alderman Beeman.
Aye.
Alderman Salem.
Aye.
Alderman Dolber.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have ordinances and resolutions. We have bill number 2023-27, an ordinance adding new section 14.119 to chapter 14, article 3, division 2, speed to add enhanced fines for speeding in school zones within city and providing signage noting the school zones and the enhanced fines. Administrator Lippert.
So this is just going to allow us, basically the school zones are going to be Bardell Street from Neff Road to East Springfield, and East Springfield from Carl Street to Walton Street. So these will just be school zone, speed zones, and then allow us to enhance our fines for speeding in school zones.
I'd like to introduce bill number 2023-27 for first and second reading by title only.
Bill number 2023-27, an ordinance adding a new section 14.119 to chapter 14, article 3, division 2, speed of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Clair, Missouri, to add enhanced fines for speeding in school zones within the city and providing for signage noting the school zones and the enhanced fines. Second reading, an ordinance adding a new section 14.119 to chapter 14, article 3, division 2, speed of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Clair, Missouri, to add enhanced fines for speeding in school zones within the city and providing for signage noting the school zones and the enhanced fines.
I move to approve bill number 2023-27.
I'll second.
Are there any questions about this ordinance? May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Dolber.
Aye.
Alderman Salem.
Aye.
Alderman Beeman.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bill number 2023-27 becomes ordinance 2120. Next, we have unfinished business, City Hall roof and building repair update. Administrator Lippert.
Okay, so you might have noticed that they've been doing some tuck pointing. They've still got a little bit of work to do. We're going to, on the northern side, you probably noticed that there's been some work done preparing for concrete that's coming tomorrow. We've got the Public Works crews got all new drainage pipe installed and ready, so that'll go underneath the concrete area. So that flat work area on the north side of the building is prepped. Part of that was to replace a little chunk of concrete out here on this step. We're going to wait on that because I don't want to have, this is our only access once that's closed off. That half of, or that access to that building after tomorrow will be closed off for a week for the concrete to seal. We are considering making a kind of a change. originally we were gonna place the sidewalk into the police department. You notice, if you notice that that's gravel there. Jason and I and the crews have been looking at that and thinking that maybe it might be better for us to level that area where that is and maybe not put new concrete there initially. That because we want to look and see, you know, is that an area that we would possibly expand the police department in that little area? It's about 800, what do we figure, Jason, about 850, 860
Yeah,
square feet?
850, 900 square feet.
About 900 square feet area. It would be relatively inexpensive to go out that way, and it would also allow us to put, if we do that with some of the remaining ARPA money, then we may be able to incorporate that as stage one before we get into any other things it would give us. I'm looking at, originally we were looking at kind of a two-phase expansion of the building. I mean, obviously this building was built in '86. It doesn't take into account the bulging at the seams now. High ceilings give us a lot of wasted space. You guys have probably all seen that proposal. So we're thinking maybe we could start by an expansion that way for the police department. Would be about a third of the price of expanding this way. So we maybe look at a three-stage expansion over time. And so the question is, if from a money standpoint, we want to say, okay, we got to expand our space, that would be about half the cost of what it might cost to build the facility here, which I think we're going to need eventually. But the question is, do we want to hold off on pouring that concrete on that step and look at some feasibility of that? So we don't, it seems silly to waste a lot of money on concrete that we could come back and tear out in 6, 8 months, 10 months from now. So just wanted your guys' input on that, or would you rather? I mean, we could prepare that, put walking pavers and everything else into that doorway, in the temporary, in the interim. It would also allow us, we could level that out and gravel it and make for, you know, additional place for a picnic table or something until we move forward. So I guess I'm looking for the board's opinion on whether or not we should just do the sidewalks that we have now and leave that little space into the police department, or go ahead and pay it. Because they're coming tomorrow, so just kind of whatever you guys' thoughts are. To me, it seems like that's
Be a lot of
the
ways.
least expensive way to give the police department in the short term more space. And we really feel like there's a sally port requirement. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a garage doors on each end, it's a closed section. Most police department in the county all has it, so we can bring, you know, inmates. What do we call them, chief?
Prisoners,
Prisoners. Okay.
bad guys, whatever you want to call them.
There it is. The other problem is that we also need an area that we can securely hose down and wash out vehicles in the event they're contaminated by drugs or some other source. And prisoners that have been involved in an incident where they need to be washed down, it would give us a closed, secure space from an environmental standpoint to wash them down. And then we'd put drainage in there and all that. So we kind of feel like that's an imminent need that we're going to have to address. So that sally port and that expansion could be something we address next with some ARPA funds for a real minimal cost. I think it could be the least expensive expansion.
To sum it all up, I would say hold off on the concrete. That would be terrible to pour all that and then tear it all out.
The rest of it we know won't be impacted, so it would just be that simple sidewalk up into the, and really that's not an entrance to a lobby the police department uses now anyway. It's really only accessed by our staff.
Right.
So, thoughts, concerns?
I would say hold off. That's
If
my
you're not
opinion.
certain, I wouldn't spend the
Do
money.
we want to put it in, we should put it into a motion since they're coming for concrete?
That's up to you. I mean, I think the board has given me the leeway to
Consensus.
consent to manage. I think the construction process is best. And that will obviously save us money. I mean, it's,
I didn't know if you needed that for the construction company at all.
oh, no, not at all. Yeah, no, I've already cut out a couple $1,000s in work orders it is, so I'm still trying to bring the cost down on all the projects, so.
Is everybody okay with that?
What's that?
And we're just dealing with sidewalks.
Next, we have the summer park events. The share.
Well, in your packet, we just want to bring you up to speed. Of course, you know, there's the July 24th fireworks, June 24th fireworks. And I reached out to all of you. I think we're going to monitor the drought conditions. So Craig is going to be in constant contact with the fire marshal, fire chief, and let them basically advise us on what conditions are. You know, if we need to be mindful of that. I mean, obviously, it's just really dry, and the property behind us doesn't belong to us, where those fireworks could be exposed to. So, just want to let you know that's all. The side-by-side cruise in is scheduled for July 1st. So there's information on that. There's the route also included in your packet with stops. That's going to be, I think it's going to be a fun event. Hopefully that we can, we'll still have people in town that will help us do that. We have, Dana told me, I think we've got 25 or 30 people that have paid their registration. There's some people that are hesitant to pay online, the credit card. We're going to hand out information at the event that's coming up in June for that. So that's moving along. We're going to have the chamber's going to do their marble run. That will be hopefully a fundraiser as well to support our partner programs. And then we're also going to do a 50-50 raffle during the day. Also, so there'll be live music in the afternoon. Should be a fun event. So, you know, hopefully it's a success and can help us raise some funds for some of our projects. With that, with the fireworks, we do have a balance due. It's due on the date.
And we've paid our deposit.
We've paid the deposit. We have a balance due the other half. I advised Kim that we'll just have a check ready, but we're not going to pay until the day of the event. So, that's on that. I think that's that. We'll talk about the park grant here later. So those are the two events that we have, plus the event that's not a city function. That's on the 10th of June.
Saturday.
It's coming up this Saturday. Yeah. Wow. Groups up.
Next, we have the enterprise lease for public works vehicle and future police vehicles.
Okay. So we've been kind of moving forward on this, and honestly, it's something that really needs our attention. I've been trying to narrow down exactly where we are. The big issue, and I think I've briefed you guys all on this, and I think you probably should all be aware of it. We've got 2 plow trucks in our current inventory that are just in really, really bad need. They don't have a lot of mileage on them. They just have, you know, when you use a plow truck, and Jason will speak to this, you know, salt and everything else, they just, it's really hard on the vehicle, has a lot of wear. And those have just gotten to the point where we're not confident in their ability to perform as we need come this winter. So we would like to move forward on replacing 2 of those vehicles with vehicles that we already have in our fleet from Public Works. That are, Jason, those are, what are the age of the 2 vehicles that we want to?
There's a 2013 and a 2014. One of them, they're both 1-ton trucks. They're both diesel. One of them is a dually, one of them is not. So we would move those trucks over to plow with, outfit them with the spreaders that are on our current trucks and buy new plows for those 2 trucks. And then we would use the existing, we have another 2008 1-ton that we plow with currently that's probably got another year in it. So we would keep that one and then probably next year, springtime, we would take another truck that we have in our fleet, which is the truck that Chris drives, which is a 2016 one-ton dually diesel that we would move over to there and then look at replacing that truck. To get those, and those trucks have 90-ish thousand
Yeah,
miles
all
on
have
them, those
over
diesels.
90,000 miles on them. So for plow trucks, it's not the mileage so much, it's just, you know, I mean, they're well-maintained trucks, but, you know, you hate to go out and, you know, spend all the money on a brand new truck that's gonna be a plow truck. So we would rather replace those trucks, and look at our current needs for the trucks. And so now, what we're looking to replace those two heavy dually vehicles with, one of them would have to be a dually, but the other one would be just a regular extra cab, 4x4.
Yeah, just a half-ton truck that we would run around town and check lift stations and, you know, whatever else those guys do routine maintenance-wise around town, which would be much better gas mileage for a truck than a 3/4 ton or 1-ton diesel would be, so.
So when you're talking about taking his next spring, so what would you be replacing that with?
We would probably order a truck at some point here in the fall, and Ryan's here from Enterprise, so he can, you know, talk a little bit more about that, the ordering part. But we would replace, Chris's truck would have to be a 1-ton dually with a tool body on it, like what he has right now.
So that he can pull,
So that we can put a trailer behind it, and we can pull the mini excavator or the skid steer or wherever we need to move equipment around town. We need that big diesel truck to be able to do that.
If that one that runs back and forth every night, would it use less miles to use it as a plow truck? Would be my question.
someone next year?
Yeah, I'm talking about the one next spring.
Yeah,
When it use less miles plowing snow than driving back and forth every day.
right, yeah, it'd be strictly a plow truck at that point, and then Chris would have another truck to drive.
We just, the problem is that we're gonna extend the life of one of our plow trucks, as opposed to trying to buy 3 this year. We're gonna try to move that down into FY24. My goal is to stagger them over years, as opposed to just every 4 years have this huge new lease on all new vehicles. And again, the plow vehicles would be a reliable vehicle, but it seems silly to put, you know, a 5-year lease on a brand new vehicle that's going to be used for a plow truck. I guess that's what's on. So we want to get to the point where we cycle vehicles into those facilities. You see what I'm saying? For instance, eventually one of the older trucks may become a parks vehicle down the road if we expand our parks department so that we have a second parks vehicle. So what we're trying to do is be strategic about how we do it so that we can stagger these vehicles over a couple of vehicles every year. There is Public Works. We had earmarked funds for a sweeper that we're just not, to go out and buy one new or lease one now, there just aren't any available in that program. So, you know, we're exploring, trying to find a used one somewhere, or one that is a demo model somewhere that we can make payments on, as opposed to spend $350,000, $400,000 for a new one. So, because there just aren't any available. So, our goal would be to reallocate for FY23 the lease payments for several months on these 2 new Public Works vehicles. And it's a much cheaper option than trying to just replace 2 new plow vehicles. So that's, and again, Ryan's here. We'd love for you to ask questions or if you have any concerns or whatever else. But the advantage that Enterprise brings to the table is, one, because of their volume, they can buy vehicles at a much cheaper rate than we can. And they've already been approved by state and by others, so they've already met the bid requirements. So they beat any of the bids. So that allows us a twofold. One, and Enterprise doesn't mark up the vehicle. Enterprise makes money on the leasing side of it. So for us, the other thing is that they'll also, instead of going through the salvage and getting $500 for a vehicle, they'll actually get us a much higher price